In one of the vast halls of the royal palace, far from any potential disturbances, King Jabbar lay on a comfortable bed, breathing deeply as the air of the Ababiil kingdom drifted in with the sunlight through the tall, open windows. The jinn physicians gathered around him, displaying the natural anxiety that precedes any high-risk operation. Nawar approached the king and respectfully sought permission. "Your Majesty?" Jabbar moved his head slightly, granting him permission to speak. "We will inject your body with a substance that will render you unconscious for a while." "There is no need for that. I can endure the pain," Jabbar replied. Nawar leaned in slightly and whispered, "Your unconsciousness will help us perform our work more efficiently. The doctors will struggle to work under the weight of your gaze." The king thought for a moment before nodding in agreement. "Will I be unconscious for long?" "Only until we successfully remove the spear from your body." "Very well," Jabbar said, granting them permission to proceed. Once he had been injected with the anesthetic, they waited until they were sure he was completely unconscious and unaware of his surroundings. Then, they shut the windows, drew the curtains, and bolted the door to ensure no one would interrupt their work. Candles were lit throughout the hall to provide sufficient illumination. When everything was prepared, the chief physician of the jinn whispered, "Open the passage." A group of jinn moved to a specific point on one of the chamber walls, marked with a hidden symbol. They knocked on it 7 times, causing the wall to tremble and split into 2 sections. From within emerged a figure whose head was concealed by a hood, revealing only a pair of piercing blue eyes. "How did things go?" the figure asked as he stepped toward the unconscious king. Nawar replied, "The sage nearly disrupted our plan and convinced him to seek help from the Ashawis tribes." "Do not concern yourself with that fool," the figure said dismissively. Then, he added, "Get rid of Jabbar first. He is the only thing that could ruin our next move." "Kill him?" the chief physician asked in shock. "No," the figure responded. "That would make it look like an orchestrated plot." "Then what should we do?" "Let him die slowly. We are in no rush." The figure smirked. "Besides, I am eager to see whom Jabbar will choose as his successor. If we kill him now, we'll miss out on that." "As you command," the chief physician said, bowing his head. The figure turned and made his way back toward the secret passage, muttering to himself, "I may no longer have an army to challenge the emperors, but battle is not the only path to victory." "When will you give us what you promised, my lord?" Nawar asked. "When I reclaim the throne, Nawar. When I reclaim the throne." "And how will you reclaim it without an army?" "With love." Tagin said this with a sly smile, offering no further explanation. Then, he disappeared into the magical passage, one of the many secret tunnels and corridors carved out for him by witches during his reign. Tunnels that the royal family of the emperors had long since forgotten to search in the chaos of dealing with their gravely ill leader, Jabbar. After long hours, the physicians finally announced that they had managed to extract the spear. However, to their dismay, the magic had spread through the king's body in a way they could not stop. Nawar admitted, full of regret, that he should have listened to the sage's advice to wait and proceed with caution. With great sorrow, he informed them that King Jabbar would not survive for more than 3 days. Later, when Jabbar awoke from his coma and was told the news, he did not panic or despair. Instead, he remained composed and steadfast, as if the matter did not concern him. At that moment, he issued an order for an urgent meeting of the great emperors and requested the presence of Asif and his friends. The following morning, the elders of the emperor's family, along with Minister Kaisaran, Asif, Sarabi, Iqleel, the sage, and Al-Shamali, all gathered in a perfectly arranged circle, leaving a 5-meter space between themselves and the king, who lay on his bed, preparing to take his last breath. "What comforts me is that I will die knowing my kingdom, my people, and my family are safe," he said. Then, turning to Asif, he added reproachfully, "But I would have been even more at peace if you had killed Tagin." Asif moved closer and sat by his grandfather's head, whispering in an apologetic tone, "His death, grandfather, would have meant losing Al-Shamali." Then, attempting to reassure him, he added, "Besides, Tagin no longer has an army to fight us with. His existence is no longer a threat." Ignoring his words, Jabbar murmured with a hesitant tone that betrayed his concern, "You don't know Tagin." Then, muttering, he added, "I wish you had killed him." His grandson did not argue further. Instead, he grasped his grandfather's massive hand, as if trying to hold on to him so that death could not take him away. Jabbar looked at the faces of each of the family elders before glancing at the sage, Iqleel, and Al-Shamali. He smiled gently at Sarabi, then finally fixed his gaze on Minister Kaisaran and said, "I know you have something to say." She hesitated, then stammered, "We will miss you dearly, my lord. Oh, my dear Kaisarin, and I will miss you as well, Jabbar said with emotion. But that is not what you truly wanted to say, is it? Minister Kaisarin swallowed her words in embarrassment before finally saying, "It is customary for the king to appoint his successor so that," she paused, as if the words had betrayed her. Jabbar finished her sentence for her, "So that when he dies, his deputy takes the throne after him. Is that what you wanted to say?" Kaisarin nodded. "That is why I have gathered you all here." He looked once more at the elders of his family, as if he were choosing the most suitable person to succeed him. He knew he could trust any one of them to lead the next phase, knowing that his beloved Ababiil would be safe. With a serious tone, he declared, "None of you have ever disobeyed me before, and I do not wish for anyone to defy me in my final request." Silence filled the room, a silent vow not to oppose his last wish. Then, without preamble, in a manner reminiscent of fate's unexpected decrees, the king suddenly looked at Asif and said firmly, "You." Then, with unwavering determination, he added, "You shall be king." Everyone was stunned. Asif was the last person anyone would have expected to be chosen as the next king of Ababiil. Not only was he a hybrid, meaning he did not fully belong to the royal family of the emperors, but he was also reckless, impulsive, and overly daring. But Jabbar saw something else in him. "I want you to see the people as your friends, Asif," Jabbar said. "Protect them with all your heart from any dangers they may face in the future, just as you always protected Akhleel and the sage in battle, just as you threw yourself into death's path for my sake, just as you spared Tagin's life to ensure Al-Shamali's safety, just as you love Sarabi and fear for her. I want you to love Ababiil and love its people. But, grandfather, I am not fit to be king. The one who knows how to be a good friend will be a great king." Asif did not respond. Jabbar then said, "This is the last request your old grandfather will ever make of you, boy." Asif's silence was his acceptance. Jabbar continued as if entrusting him with a sacred duty. "I want your promise that you will protect this land and ensure prosperity, peace, and growth for all." Asif placed his hand over his heart, just as he had done before Pharaoh's when he promised to protect her daughter. "I promise to protect this land and ensure prosperity, peace, and growth for all." Jabbar turned to the elders of the family and said, "I want to hear you accept him as king so that I may depart in peace." Though uncertainty lingered within them, the elders did not disobey their leader's final command. They swore the oath of the kings of Ababiil, to listen and obey in times of ease and hardship, in justice and injustice, in peace and war, in loyalty and betrayal, in life and in death.